Hey guys, today we are going to be making chocolate cupcakes. So one thing is you can make this into cupcakes, but you can also make it into cake. You could just do two 9-inch rounds, or if you wanted cupcakes, you can just do cupcake pans. Please subscribe so you can not miss all of our other baking videos. I have some good baking videos coming out pretty soon, so make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss when I post, and let's get started. Okay, so here are our ingredients. We have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We have 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. We have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we have 3 eggs, we have 3/4 cup of oil, and then we have 1 cup of sugar. This recipe calls for sour milk, so it calls for 3/4 cup of sour milk. So you can use a tablespoon of vinegar and make sour milk if you don't have buttermilk, or you can use, like I'm going to use today, you can use 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. They both work great. I usually use vinegar, but we're out of that right now, so I'm just going to use lemon juice, but it'll all work great, and it will make some good sour milk. The sour milk gives it a really good taste. It's not strong or anything. It just gives it a really nice taste. If you wanted to, of course, you could just do this by hand and use a whisk and a bowl, but today, just for time's sake, I'm going to be using our KitchenAid mixer. I'm going to be using the whisk attachment. That works nice because it makes the butter or the oil and sugar and eggs nice and fluffy, so I'm going to be using the whisk attachment today. 3/4 cup of oil. Then I'm going to put our 1 cup of sugar. We're just using white granulated sugar. I'm going to put our mixer attachment down, and then I'm going to turn it on a low setting. So I'm going to turn it up the speed a little bit just to make it a nice, I'll show you guys when it gets there. It takes a couple minutes to beat it and make it fluffy, and get all the sugar mixed in there. So I'm going to beat this, and we will see y'all when it gets all nice and fluffy. Okay, so you can see it is nice and mixed in, so I'm just going to now add the eggs in there. So I'm going to do 3 eggs. So it's super yellow right now, so we are going to mix this for about 5 minutes. It will get a super light color, and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to explain right now, but I will show y'all what I'm talking about when this gets done mixing in about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes later, it's a lot lighter in color. This is kind of what you want it to look like. And at this point, we are going to go ahead and start our sour milk. It does take a little bit of time for the sour milk to just get really good and sour. So I'm just going to pour our lemon juice in there. And I'm going to kind of mix it in because it's kind of, the lemon juice is kind of settling on top. So I'm just going to mix that in. And then we are going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. Okay, so the next thing you're going to be adding in is the milk. It is about 5 minutes later. It is all nice and sour, so we're going to go ahead and add it in here. Now for this, we are going to be adding it in. We're going to be adding the flour and the milk in. We're going to be like kind of doing milk and then mixing it, and then we're going to be doing flour, mixing that, and then we'll just kind of switch back and forth until we use them all. 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. You can see this baking soda is, you know, just a little clumpy. So I'm just going to kind of just smush that with my fingers and get those clumps out because we don't want to bite into a clump of baking soda. Okay, so I'm just going to put the cupcake liners or muffin liners, whichever you want to call them. I'm going to put them in the pan. I'm using large ones today. That's really all the store had. But I guess it is good because these do rise quite a bit. So and make sure not to overfill them because, as I said, they do rise a lot. You don't want to overflow your cupcakes. We are going to be making a nice cream cheese frosting for these to go on. It's going to be really good. If you were doing this as a cake, which is what I usually do in a 9x13, if you were doing this in a 9x13, you can make a powdered sugar icing with milk, powdered sugar, and a little bit of cocoa powder. And you just mix that up and then you just drizzle on top of the cake and then you kind of spread it. That is what I always do, and it's always really delicious. So, yeah, that's the icing I use when I do a 9x13. But today I decided to kind of do something a little different and do some cupcakes with cream cheese frosting. I'm going to be showing you my cream cheese frosting recipe. So make sure to stay tuned for that at the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up all of these cupcakes. So I'm going to wait quite a while for these to cool. They came out absolutely beautifully. They came out really nice. So I'm just going to wait a few hours for these to cool. So our cupcakes are cooled, so now I'm going to start on the cream cheese icing. I have our mixer attachments somewhere. Here they are. I'm going to just drop one on the floor. I'll have to get that in a minute. But I'm going to start mixing it up. It's still a little cold. It's still a little bit cold, so it'll take a minute to mix up with the mixer. But I'll just mix it up, and then I'm going to put some powdered sugar and milk in there. And then I'm going to do a little bit of chocolate color just for the color. I'm going to use a little bit of cocoa powder just to color it. So it's mixed up, so now I'm just going to add a little bit of milk. Now a little bit of milk goes a long way with this. So I'm just going to start with a little bit, and then I can always add more if I need to. I want it to be pretty spreadable, so I'm just going to add a little more in there. Okay, so that is getting a little softer, so I'm just going to go ahead and add our powdered sugar in here. I'm not really sifting it because the clumps will all work out. I'll just, make sure to beat it really good and it'll all work out. So it's time to add our cocoa powder. I'm gonna sift it because I do not want any clumps of cocoa powder in there. As I said, just a little bit starting out with. Shake it. I put about a tablespoon, I would say, of cocoa powder in there. That just gave us this nice brown color. I'm going to do it the simple way and just spread it on there. Now, of course, if you wanted to be fancy, and which I love decorating cupcakes, but honestly, I don't really want to tonight. So I'm just going to, let me get a plate for these. So this made 12 beautiful cupcakes, and then the icing, I actually have a little bit left over. So I'll probably just put that in a container in a fridge and use that later on. But the icing, it had plenty of icing.